Hello everyone, I'm Silverraptor and welcome to the next second deck that I'm going to be reviewing in the Wargame deck review, where I review other people's decks and figure out what I like about it and I don't like about it. I did tell you guys I would make this a bit of a regular segment, and I will be continuing it right now. For this deck, I received this deck a while back from Faust, which is a very, very good Wargame player. And then I heard that the original deck was designed by Nandamanai, who is also a very, very good wargame player. So this deck, I'm pretty sure, has been tested, tried, and true. And the deck is a General NATO or General Blufor motorized deck. Now, you don't see a lot of motorized decks in wargame, and I think the main issue is the unit limitations. People don't know what are the strengths of motorized, what are the weaknesses, especially what's the difference between a motorized and a mechanized deck. Well, I pondered this a lot, and I went over and came up with an answer. The difference is being the actual unit vehicles that come in with the different decks. A mechanized deck is limited to primarily tracked vehicles, anything that has tank treads or tracks as such, and those have a maximum speed of 110 kilometers an hour on road and varying speeds off road. But generally, tracked vehicles are slower, but they're a little more sturdy. Whereas motorized decks are all wheeled vehicles, which have a maximum speed on road of 150 kilometers an hour, and they're able to move around much quicker, and more importantly, able to get to the front line a lot faster, provide reinforcements to an area much quicker. And also, they have a little bit more recon. That's the difference with the motorized deck. I have played this deck on the previous regular Wargame video. I'll link that video down in the description below. But without further ado, let's go and start analyzing this deck thoroughly and see about having you guys check out this deck for yourself. So at the start, this has two CVs. It's got a HQ section infantry and a linked AH7 with really good rocket pods. Now, this is for flexibility. I expect you, like, when you're pushing up with a motorized deck, this is so that you can drop off infantry pretty quickly, hide them around, and then have a nice helicopter to support your advancing troops. The other CV is the Iltis Kadao, which is it's a really fast truck. It's 10 points more than the regular truck. Hang on, let's see if they have the regular. Well, we'll use this regular CV truck here from the South Koreans. 55 speed, whereas this has 110 off-road speed right down there. So this thing can definitely move out of the way pretty quickly, which is definitely a huge advantage if it's under threat of being under fire. So this has a lot of CV. So this deck is for conquest primarily, because you don't really need this many CVs for destruction. But for conquest, these are definitely good and handy to have. Now he's got some Scandinavian trucks. These are just to keep resupplied and keep things moving, and then repair anything that might come up. Now this deck doesn't seem to have a fob, which is interesting, but I think this deck is more about speed and quickly overwhelming the enemy or providing recon, and this is just the only supply you have, so kind of need to rely on your allies a little bit for supply. But that's it for the logistics tab. We shall go into the infantry. Now, first off, he's got some SAS in Link's AH7s. Now, SAS are, of course, a very good elite infantry. Having Stinger and anti-tank missiles, they're basically able to shoot at anything. They're not as strong against infantry because they don't have a light machine gun. They only have the regular assault rifle, but they're by no means pushovers when they come against infantry. They just are at a slight disadvantage when that happens. But these is basically the AA for the infantry section from this tab. So Stinger missiles, that's primarily it, but you just get these guys out and they'll be able to shoot down any pesky helicopters near the start of the game and from there on in. He's also got some Milan 2s, which are to get to the front lines quickly. This is to basically hold off any tanks or vehicle pushes that might be coming to a town that you're wanting to take. You get these Milan 2s, and they're going to have to turn around and retreat because this incredible range from the Milan 2. and really good AP power as well, so you definitely have to be wary of these. Afterwards, we finally stop getting helicopters. We actually have the Fusilier 90s. Now, Fusiliers are not the best infantry in the world. I mean, they've got okay accuracy, especially with the light machine gun, but not a great fire rate or range. So they're not really that effective against infantry. But what these Fusilier 90s are really good for is their Law 80. Now, this is the reason why they're in this deck, I'm pretty sure, is that this 22 AP power and the 70% accuracy is meant to just get up through forests or get up close to where tanks might reside and just basically hit them in the side or keep hitting them a lot until they die, because these do have 20 rounds per minute. That does mean they're firing a 22 AP power rocket with 70% accuracy once every 3 seconds. So these are the close range anti-tank killers that are moving through forests that you want to use. Next up, we've got Stormers and XA-180s, and the XA-180s are pretty good because they are amphibious, really fast at 50 kilometers an hour. They're also fast off-road and on-road. These guys are to get the Stormers into the front line. Now, these Stormers are very good. Shock infantry trained, 60% accuracy, 50% accuracy with a close quarters machine gun. It's basically the MG3. Everyone hates the MG3 on the Red 4 side. So they're very, very good infantry, especially with the Carl Gustav. And you've got 2 of them in XA-180, so that's a total of 20. No, sorry. You've got 30 of them. I thought that was a different squad. Next over here, you actually have Gewehrmen and XA-186NOs. And these guys are really good, unlike these, because they are 3 front armor and 3 side armor. So these guys are kind of the frontline vehicles. They're able to take the fighting. But these Gewehrmen are also going to be providing support for the Stormers as the Stormers move out, because the Gewehrmen also have that MG3, though they are static and not close quarters, so they want to stay a little bit far back and provide supporting fire, but these are still really, really good infantry. 10 points with the MG3, they basically are what the Jaegers used to be. Just now that the Jaegers are 5 points more, these are the better troop. So that's all the infantry, and on all these wheeled vehicles, you're able to just bring these guys reinforcements one after the other, and they're all really, really cheap too. So you can put a lot of infantry out into a small place, like securing a town or a forest. So this is what the power of motorized is just taking and reinforcing an area for as long as you have to. Next up, we've got the Crotel missiles, wheeled vehicle, as you can tell, and with really, really good infrared AA. It's got one of the longest infrared AA ranges in the game, 3,325 meters, able to shoot at helicopters a good ways away, and with a 6% accuracy can actually threaten planes a bit as well. And to supplement them up, we've got some Roland 2s. Now, Roland 2s are also a wheeled vehicle, so they can move really fast. These are radar guided, so they're designed to go after airplanes. You want to bring 2 at a time. Usually, because 65% accuracy and a short airplane range, chances are one Roland 2 won't quite shoot down a plane, due to the fact the plane will probably be out of range. Well, actually, it will fire both missiles, but then they'll have to reload, and it has a long reload time. But yeah, these are definitely good for the anti-plane. They're fast, able to take out the enemy, and that is good. Then we've got some Flak Panzers, which is another radar AA. Now, this is actually a tracked vehicle. These are more to just kind of... I'm not sure if they're supposed to be in front of the Roland 2, but these are also good to take out helicopters, but also to provide a bit of ground fire and just be generally annoying with radar AA. It's a cheap radar AA. This deck seems to be all about just being generally cheap. So low points games, this deck will probably be really useful. And then he's got the KM163, which is an excellent AA piece, which is not radar. It does have shorter range than the regular Flak Panzer, but it definitely will do its job of shooting down helicopters, also provide supporting fire, and also it's not radar. So that is also very useful. And I believe this version, the South Korean version, doesn't actually stop to reload. It just goes and goes and goes and goes, whereas the American version of this has to stop for like a second or two and then does another firing spree. But yeah, this is definitely a very good infrared, or definitely good AA piece right here. So there's 4 AA in this support deck. So this makes up for the fact that there was only 1 infantry AA. You do have to kind of bring in vehicles if you want to shoot down helicopters. And then we've got some mortars, 5 HE power for 30 points, not bad at all. And these are definitely to be able to provide smoke or any kind of close range support for the infantry that you're going to be bringing in. Now, tanks. Motorized don't get the best of tanks in the world, but the tank that he chose for this deck is the STRV-103C. Now, this is an excellent tank. It's not really meant for assaulting a position, but what these guys are really good for is the fact that they are small in size, which means a lot of shells and missiles are going to miss them. As you can see, this kind of little shovel right here, it's kind of, you dig this tank in a bit into a big trench, so basically this is where the ground line is, and only this small section is supposed to be revealed in actual real-life combat situation. And also, this surging front armor is not bad, but the main strength is it's got a 60% accurate gun with 16 AP power, and it's got 15 rate of fire. So this thing can just fire and fire and fire and fire and fire. It just outstrips the fire rate of any tank, and it's just able to unleash so many shells on a target that tank will fall, even if the tank is more expensive, has better armor and such, because it will fire 2 or 3 rounds for every that one round that one tank fires. And especially with the small size, if those shells miss, this tank will have the complete advantage. So this is more of a defensive tank, but definitely also good for supporting fire as well. Recon, we've got some Rangers in some V150. Rangers are pretty good, but they have to be kind of static. As you can see, their accuracy greatly outstrips the stabilizer for any other gun, but if they can stand into position and fight toe-to-toe, and they're just basically the infantry recon of this deck. Next, we've got some Bradley M3A2s. Now, no surprise why he got these. Very good accuracy with some TOW-2 missiles and a Bushmaster autocannon. This is fire support for days. One of the best recon Blufor has in terms of direct engagements. And with the TOW-2 missile, he also brought this in at veteran to make sure that those TOW-2s will keep hitting and stay on their mark, because he definitely wants to take out tanks. Because one thing I've noticed about this deck is it's kind of weak against tanks, with only one tank to actually go up against them. So you're going to need all the high AP power missiles that you can possibly can. Next up, we've got 2 stacks of Leopard 1V Verkennings. Now these are the other tanks that you're going to be bringing in, and this is Recon. Has a good rate of fire. Its armor kind of lets it down a little bit for its price range, but it still has a really good gun, and with medium stealth it can actually hide pretty well in forests and be able to set up ambush positions. So this is definitely a good tank to supplement with your infantry. He's also got some Hachi Nanashikis. Now these are very good recon. They only have good optics, but they can directly engage with that autocannon. That autocannon is very deadly, able to take out vehicle, infantry, and helicopters that get too close alike. Another supporting fire unit. And then finally, he also got some Gazelle cannons. Now, Gazelle cannons are for good optics. Helicopters can kind of see more from their height advantage, so good optics can kind of see a number of things flying over. The main also important thing is that with this little autocannon, it can shoot at any kind of infantry. It could CV snipe if it gets out behind the enemy line and they weren't expecting it. But mainly, it's a really quick recon squad for 30 helicopter for 30 points. So it's really fast and maneuverable for a really cheap price range. So definitely excellent pick in recon for this deck. In this vehicle, this is the Humvee TOW-2. Now this is to supplement next to the Bradley, I'm assuming. We have them side by side, and you just launch TOW-2s at heavy tanks and just keep the heavy tanks away. One good thing about the Humvee is that it's also fast off-road, so this is another, you shoot a missile and then you run away before the tanks get close enough to engage. And with 70% accuracy, very good TOW-2 missile. Now I really like this vehicle. I've used this in the past before. This is the M163CS. Now this might have the same kind of rate of fire and such, but it's not really a radar or an anti-helicopter, even though it can shoot at helicopters if they get too close. The main reason, if we compare these two, is that this has a 500 meter longer range than the dedicated radar AA with the Vulcan gun. And so this thing is able to provide a lot more supporting fire and basically chew up enemy infantry and stun them instantly than most other units to be able to provide fire. So everything's about supporting fire with the massive amount of infantry that we're going to be bringing into a game and making sure they can get in and just chew up everything possible. And finally, the M36. Now you're probably looking at this tank and going, what? But yeah, he chose this. It's got kinetic rounds. So with 40% accuracy at 10 points and 40 rounds, and a pretty decent range, these things are also pretty good supporting fire units as well. Just stick them in the tree line, and the fact that they're 10 points means that the enemy, if he wants to kill them, will have to spend an exorbitant amount of effort killing these 10-point tanks, which can provide pretty decent supporting fire, and possibly lose a lot more points than what they're going to gain in killing the M36. So M36 will definitely give you an advantage in terms of points for fire support if you do want to bring those in and flank the enemy. And then we've got some Gazelle Celtics. Now we've only got 3 of these Gazelle Celtics, and they're hardened, so they have their mistrals are more accurate, but I kind of see these at the very start to move up with the infantry helicopters, and basically just make sure to keep the enemy helicopters away long enough so that the SAS can land and launch their stingers, and basically provide a forward position for the wheeled vehicles to try to go up and secure. So you don't need a lot of Gazelle Celtics. They're just mainly there to just shoot down any annoying helicopters, but with 4 strengths, they are easy to shoot down themselves, so just be careful about that. And now we're on to the aircraft. Now the aircraft, we start off with the FA-18C Hornet. This is a multi-role fighter with nice Maverick missiles, 30 AP power, 50% accuracy, very good air detection with 40 ECM. It's got a couple of aims, so it can also shoot at helicopters and airplanes if it so desires, but this is the main anti-tank of choice, I presume, for this deck. Next, we've got the F-16A Block 15, and the F-15, this is the cheaper air superiority fighter. He's got these in at elite, so there are no pushovers by any means. They've got exceptional air detection and 30 ECM, and they've got nice missiles too, Sparrows and AIMs, but they only got 2 of each. So these are meant to shoot down fighters one at a time and engage one at a time, but they're still pretty good aircraft for taking care of the skies. And now we've got some Harrier GR7s. Now these are an excellent anti-tank plane. And I know a number of you are raising your eyebrows and going, anti-tank plane? What? It's got HE power. Yes, it does. But this is a laser-guided HE bomb, which means that wherever you click fire position, those bombs are going to land, and it's got 4 of them. And with 10 HE power, it is able to one-shot any tank with 3 top armor. So that's basically just the bombs are landing one on top of the other, and any tank with that with less than 4 armor will be taken out one pass with these 4 paved ways landing on top of them. And they're also HE, so they also can go after infantry. So a very nice multi-role fighter. Even though it's slower, it does have 40% ECM at 120 points, so definitely a very good plane. And finally, the Phantom II with its 8 napalm. Now this is a no-brainer. This napalm is able to put like a line of napalm to keep infantry out. You can use this to help secure, block off enemies, reinforcement and escape points, and then just capture an area with the infantry that come forward. So that's primarily most of the deck. Now here's the Navy. Unsurprisingly, it's all Air Force. It's got some F-14 Tomcats. It's got some Super Hornets with their nice AA missiles and anti-ship missiles, F-11Gs, tram intruders, and the Etendard. These are pretty... the Blufor generally has an advantage in terms of planes, so just getting these out so you're able to help assist with any kind of ships coming down your way. This is definitely a good setup for Blufor if you don't know what to put on the Navy tab. But overall, that was the... that's been the General Motorized deck. Do hope you enjoyed this. I will be playing this game, a game with this deck pretty shortly, and I do like the look of it, and I have played it a couple times, and I like the feel of it a little bit as well. And I do hope to get a good game for you guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and check out the next game as it comes out. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, and goodbye.